Hey guys, Neomis here. Now, I thought for today's video, I recently watched a video from my good friend Apollo from 101 Arsenal make a video talking about strikers that we could get to replace Lacazette. And I have to say that he had some very good options in there. He had Isak, who plays for Real Sociedad. He had Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who plays for Everton, as you all know, from the Premier League. And he had Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa, who I think who showed last season that he's a good, solid striker. And I started to think, you know what, like, for me, Isak from the Euros, top quality. He looks like a Wenger type of player. Like, technically he's good. He can dribble the ball. His hold-up play is decent. But how he really gets around players is his technical ability. And he passes very well. He could create his own chances and score goals. That's the part that I like about Isak. But when I started doing some real deeper dive on Isak, part of the problem with him is not really to do with him as a player, but when you're looking at how much he's going to cost. So right now, they're valuing him at about 50 mil. That means that minimum for Arsenal to get him, it's going to be about 70. And his contract doesn't run out until 2025. And when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, you know what? Even though I've said 70, I think that's probably going to be closer to about 85, 90 mil. If Arsenal wanted him at the end of this season, it's just going to be way too much. Way too much. You got Dominic Calvert-Lewin at Everton. I don't see Everton looking to sell him. Again, they're going to ask for 70 plus mil. And then Ollie Watkins, who is probably the least talented out of the three. Apollo said in the video that Brentford only recently sold him to Aston Villa last season for 18 mil. So you would have to say that what he's shown that he's good. So I would say that probably somewhere in and around 30 to 35, maybe even 36, or double the amount that Villa paid for him. But you know Villa are going to look for like from 50 million plus. You just know it. You know it. You could see it. And this is exactly why I thought, you know what, there has to be a fourth option out there. And a few days ago, there was an option that dropped that I thought, he is a guy, and as you could tell from the thumbnail, we're talking about Andrea Belotti. He was one that about 4 years ago, everybody was touting to be the next big thing. Chelsea were heavily interested in this guy. And that's because he was in that Diego Costa type of mold. Big, strong, powerful, can shoot from distance, like absolutely just power of a shot, heads the ball in, brilliant hold-up play. And you could see how that could have worked in a Chelsea team. And then in the following season, like he had a tail off. So he went from like 25 goals to about like 16 in the next season, and everybody just like forgot about him. And since then, he's developed to not be a top striker that's like world class, but he's turned out to be a solid striker that can do a bit of everything. He still has the hold up play. He still has decent speed. In the Euros, you know, he came on in Italy against England, was running the channels a bit, holding the ball up nicely, could head the ball as well, and I know from time in Syria, can shoot from distance and has a lot of power on his shots, particularly in the box. And the reason why I pointed him out is that his contract runs out at the end of the season. This is a player that in another, 3 months, Arsenal could start negotiating on signing this guy on a free to join Arsenal in the summer. Or, yeah, when everybody comes back in the summer. And I think that with all the money that we've been spending, sooner or later it's going to catch up to us. Like, I don't believe that we just have buckets and buckets of money just flowing, that Silent Stan decided that he was going to give us a lot of money. I know that it's more closer to when you have like an asset, like a piece of property, and you've played really well on it, and you just borrow on the asset, just giving yourself more debt. That's what's been going on. All the hard work that Arsene Wenger has done over the years, we're just using all that positive equity and we're capitalizing on it by taking out loans, using that as equity, which is fine, because especially if the plan is positive in that we're going to get back into Europe and we're going to progress in the league, then you could see that kind of happening. And I think that someone like an Andrea Belotti could be able to do that. So I thought I would share a few numbers on the trusty Android phone, on what I could think he could do. So he's 27 years old. He will be 28 in December 20th. Right now valued at about 31 million. And I know the whole point, like, whole market with Arsenal is more younger players, but just bear with me. Okay, so the 20 to 21 season, he got 13 goals and 7 assists, played 36 games, which overall kind of contributions, when you look at over the course of the 36 games, he had 20 contributions during that time. I think that's pretty fair. Then in the 2019 season, so I mean, you want to look at consistency over the last couple seasons. 2019, what have we got? He played 44 games, scored 22 goals, and got 4 assists. So between the 44 games, he managed 26 kind of positive contributions. He does get a lot of yellow cards as well. He had 5 yellow cards, 4 in Serie A and 1 in the Europa League. And in the Europa League qualifying rounds, he scored 6 goals in 6 games with 1 assist, which I do have to say that's very impressive. So we're getting a player that can hold the ball up, which Aubameyang can't, and which we really don't have any players that can do that except for Lacazette. We're getting a player that scores goals. Probably not as much as Aubameyang, at least in terms of goals to games ratio. But this is somebody who can bring other players into play in terms of the way how we play, at least at the moment. He can be able to be a facilitator of that, similar to how like a Giroud was when he was at Arsenal. Seeing him play at times, I don't think technically he's as good as Giroud, or even as good as an Isak with his feet. But I think this is a guy who's physical, who holds the ball up nicely. West Ham were interested in him at one point, just to kind of put that out there. I think probably the only thing, the reason why you could say that this might not happen is that he doesn't fit in with the philosophy that we've all heard. In that Arsenal are looking for younger players. And we know the reason why that is because if you get younger players, you could develop them more, because the experienced players that they want don't want to come to Arsenal. Or, you know, if we go for like a 30-plus year old player, they end up not being very good, and we end up spending ridiculous amounts of money on their salaries. So, aka Willian. So, it's one of those whereby, yes, he doesn't fit into the philosophy, but I think this one is definitely worth a punt for Arsenal to kind of go after. And he's someone that can get on a free. Now, I don't know what salary that he's on, but you would have to say in Serie A, he's not going to be anywhere near on the salary that he would be if he was in the Premier League. Now, I think if it was me, I'd probably only give him about 100 grand a week at max, especially with Aubameyang just being here, still here as well. I don't think that he should get anywhere near like what Lacazette's on. 180 grand a week is just ridiculous. But I do think that he can give us something. But I'm keen to hear what everybody has to say. I know it's probably come a little bit from left field, unless you've really been keeping in on kind of transfers kind of going on. But I think it's a viable and a cheaper option if you're not going to go for an Isak, if you're not going to go for a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and if you're not going to go for an Ollie Watkins. So leave your thoughts below on what do you think about Andrea Belotti, going to be 28 soon at Arsenal. Yeah, thumbs up, leave your comments below, and yeah, I'll see you all on my next video, which there is a link in the description below.